Content warning. This series will discuss topics that may bring up painful experiences for you. Please take the time to surround yourself with good medicines. If need be, pause the playback and go for a walk, stretch, have a glass of water, and come back to the show when you feel comfortable. Welcome to the Métis Speaker Series. I'm your host, Darian Kovacs. On this podcast series, we will be exploring learning, healing, and rebuilding within the Métis community. Our goal is to create awareness of and generate discussion about Métis issues, as well as how to heal from and move forward in a healthy way. We hope to reduce Métis invisibility in BC through the personal stories from our Métis community members. This show is brought to you by the Métis Nation of British Columbia and Jelly Marketing.
I couldn't help myself. You gave me everything.
Welcome to another episode of the Métis Speaker Series. We have a wonderful guest today. If you want to introduce yourself.
Valerie Harris, and I'm from Cranbrook, British Columbia, and on the unceded territory of the Ktunaxa Nation, and affiliated with the Rocky Mountain Métis Association.
Amazing. How are you enjoying the conference so far?
This has been, I'm going to go as far as to say this has been life-altering. I've never, I didn't expect it to be, I feel very full and heard and understood, and being a person adopted at birth, 10 days, and raised by white people, I spent many years knowing that I was Métis, but feeling like I didn't have the right because I didn't know the culture and that I didn't have the right to belong, but I never belonged anywhere else either. So this is really significant for me.
It's amazing. And we're not even halfway through the conference. This is amazing.
I know.
Right? What are some highlights maybe from the event so far for you?
Um,
And it could even just be the feeling you got or any specific talks or pieces of it.
Well, Madeline's presentation yesterday was just someone in one of the other presentations was saying about how this morning in a circle he was saying, my kids were so devastated when my wife died that I couldn't process my own grief. And they were adults, and when I had my first cancer experience, my kids were 3 and 5. And that's it. It's just that survival and epigenetic trauma it just takes its toll. The thing that I learned from the Madeline's presentation is something that I've become quite familiar with after last year's bout with cancer, and that is just to be able to own that I am strong, that I am resilient. And that has been learned through a lot of hard things that are gifts. Even the first time that I got cancer, within a couple of years of that, I was saying, never thought I would say this, but I think cancer might have been the best thing that happened to me.
Wow.
Because of how it changed my perspective on everything.
And tell us about your journey with cancer. Is it twice now? You've had
3
it?
times.
3 times, okay. Tell us about maybe the first time and then the...
The first time I had just moved to Cranbrook, and I had spent 2 years in massage therapy college, and so it was just moving to a new community.
Yeah.
And I went for a standard, when you're in your late 30s, 40s, they wanted the first mammogram, and boom, there it was. And that was a long time ago. That was 1998, and I wasn't able to process it. And I think that just now at the age of 66, I have been able to start processing some things with working with a trauma therapist this past 5 years, and unfreezing takes a long time, and it's very hard and worthy work.
Yeah. Yeah. Trauma therapists have an incredible gift that they bring to people.
Yeah.
Yeah. People, parts therapy and all the different types of tools that they have in
Yes.
their toolkit. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the second time you got cancer, tell us about that.
Was 4 years after the first time.
Yeah.
And the first time I had radiation therapy in Calgary, so I had to be separated from my young family. And traveling back and forth wasn't really an option. And the second time, I was told that with a recurrence within 5 years, that the statistics said you have a 14% chance that you will be alive in 5 years.
Wow.
So that just flattened me.
Yeah.
But it didn't.
Yeah. And you showed them.
And
Yeah.
and then 20 years later or whatever, I'm like, somebody had to be in the 14%.
Yeah.
And it's sure not from anything I did.
Wow.
I just have a very strong faith in the Creator.
Yeah.
And I think that's,
Sustained you and gave you life. And
I always don't sort of say, well, it sustains me, and even this last year with the cancer, I felt like I am not being sustained. I'm down. I'm down.
this is the third time.
Third time, and it was a metastases to the lungs, which, you're a cancer survivor.
Yeah.
You dread the M word.
Yeah.
And so I think the faith is just not that it's any easier when it's happening, but that when I'm through that and out the other side, every single time I've had to do that, I've had this enormous sense of feeling lighter, of feeling joy and seeing beauty more, and appreciate just gratitude. Yeah.
Tell me what it means being here at the conference, and maybe other times in your life where getting connected to the Métis cultural elements has kind of helped you or inspired you. Or
this is the first time that I feel inspired. Our community in Cranbrook is just a great bunch of people. I'm pretty much, being neurodivergent, I'm pretty much one-on-one is good for me, but being in large places and then the sensory input here, is incredible and hugely distracting. And so I tend to not I go anyways.
Yeah.
I go to the kitchen parties and I go to the banquets.
Oh, that's awesome. It's a great charter community.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But I'm not sure that I feel a part of it. When I came here, it was like I just kind of settled in after that first Madeline, and I just settled in, and I could just feel this is a safe place.
I wonder if
That's not a common experience for me for much of my life. Safety.
yeah. I wonder if it's like, tell me if this makes sense, but like veterans who have gone to war, right? And they come back, and when they sit with other veterans and they go to their, there's special places they can go to, and they get together, to remember the Legion, for example, places like that. I wonder if when you came here, you've been at war 3 times, and you sat with your fellow veterans and people still at war, and they maybe get you in a deeper way than most people would. They know the fight you fight.
I appreciate the metaphor is very accurate. I know for myself that the first time I had cancer, being 5 weeks in Calgary for radiation therapy, I was able to do a lot of reading, and I spent a lot of time in the Tom Baker Cancer Center library, and I was also, at the time, I was sort of undefined in my faith, but and I kind of still am anyway. But that's the point of it, is to the mystery, and just the learning to trust, and so I was kind of looking at all alternative things and more sort of spiritually oriented. It was a great time back then for, I think some mainstream places called it New Agey. So the cancer has to hear that it is appreciated. The cancer is not the enemy. If I can't come to a place where love is what an appreciation and respect is what the energy that I give to myself, I'm already dead. I mean, I'm living, but I'm already dead. Where for me, I think living has been very difficult. And each time something has, my son called it a spark. My adult son.
Wow. Yeah, and in a way they teach you that in trauma therapy. In some ways, you got to the part of you that got formed when something traumatic happened. You need, even though you don't want that part of you anymore, that flares up once in a while. You need to thank them and appreciate them and say, "Yeah, I still love you," versus fighting that person because that's a part of you still. Yeah, that's
so. The cancer journey, when my kids were young, I couldn't relate to any of, the groups and that kind of thing because, I had kids to raise, and I lived for many years with padding the future. Oh, well, if I'm not going to be here for them, then this has got to, and so, that was my most important thing was what can I give to my kids, but that also was a toxic behavior in some ways, the codependence and the difficult relational difficulties, social difficulties, But I loved my work because it was one-on-one. And then my hands could do the speaking and I didn't have to. Yeah. And that's where I felt like I could really, that's where I felt the most grounded.
Wow. Are you
that and plants.
Plants, okay. And any particular plants? Types of plants?
No, just listening to Vanessa. It was just wonderful to see her, involved in that, because I took a great interest in plants when I was young. And then again, when my kids were, children, for about 10 years there, I was into, there was a book on, done by an Albertan from the Rocky Mountains and Indigenous person who had a book way back then, of medicinal plants of the Rocky Mountains. Yeah. And so I sort of became an amateur botanist. And I did some, I actually did one time go up to Assiniboine and with my partner, and we set plots up at Assiniboine and so I could go and identify all the plants, and it was, and so to hear, starting with Madeline, ending with Vanessa, was just for me like, this is how the Creator does things.
And these are your people.
And these are my people.
Amazing. Well, you got a whole day and a half left. Are you going to go get a massage while you're here in one of the massage?
Oh, I don't know. There's going to be lots of people who will want to do that. I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm very picky about.
Yeah, I was going to say as someone who
touch and like I used to work with people with chronic pain and trauma, and that I could feel. Yeah. That was my little sort of niche.
Wow. Anything else you want to leave with listeners, viewers? Anything else you want to share?
Just that being here and seeing that we as a nation are in our infancy in terms of health, health issues, and that I'm so grateful that we get to do this. As even just being here is like the teachings of planting a tree. The opportunity to talk to you is like, it's like planting a tree. It's not for my life, but it is. And it's also for what goes ahead. And so it feels very purposeful to be here.
Amazing. Well, thank you for sharing your story, adding to the digital catalog of Métis voices and stories and history, and those in the future could find it one day and find this digital audio file and find these podcasts and videos. So no, it means a lot. Really appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening and watching the Métis Speaker Series, and we'll see you next time on the show. This has been the Métis Speaker Series podcast. I'm Darian Kovacs. Thanks to Métis Nation BC for making this possible. You can listen to all of our episodes, learn more about the podcast, and sign up to the Métis Nation of BC newsletter to stay up to date on Métis news at métispodcastseries.ca. You can find out more about the music we're playing by Love Life by visiting SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/lovelifeofficial, LUVLYF official, and link in the show notes for your convenience. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast listening device. See you again soon. Mina Kawapa Mitten, thank you Merci for listening.